Hello everyone, myself Praveen. In this video, we will discuss what is variable, what is data type, what are the different data types are available in Java, what is typecasting, and IO operations. First, let's talk about what is variable. Variable is a name given to a memory location where a value to be stored. Let me take one example. In a system, there are two types of memories are available, RAM and ROM. Assume that this is a RAM, 2 GB RAM that is available in my system. Initially, let's assume that the entire 2 GB is free. While writing the program, assume that I used a statement int n is equals to 5. Here, this int is called as data type, n is a variable, assignment operator, followed by value that is 5. This statement is terminated with semicolon. So whenever the controller execute this statement, what happens? It will go to the memory space and it will pick up any one of a memory space, memory location. As a programmer, we are not bothering about which memory location it is picking up. Let's assume it has picked this memory location. For this memory location, what is the name we are giving? We are giving it as a n. How much value we are storing inside it? We are storing a value called as 5. So let me repeat the definition of variable. Variable is a name given to a memory location. For this memory location, we are given a name where a value is stored. Okay, next one. Variable can be divided into the two parts, vary plus able. So we know that vary means change plus able. That means which can be changeable during the program execution. Okay, after assigning the 5 to this n variable, assume that later I am using like this. N is equals to 1. That means the old value as overridden with 1. Overridden with 1. That's why they have given a name called as variable. So in the memory representation, this 5 will be overridden with 1. Now the value of n is 1. Now let's see what are the rules and regulations to declare the variable name. Variable name can consist of alphabets, digits. It will accept two special characters called as underscore and dollar. Underscore and dollar. Alphabets. We have 26 alphabets are there. So we can take 26 alphabets. It can be lowercase letters or uppercase letters. Digits. How many digits we have? We have 10 digits which are from 0 to 9. 0 to 9. That means variable name consists of alphabets, digits. It will accept only two special characters, underscore and dollar. Here one of the interview question is, what type of special characters are allowed to declare the variable names? At that time, our answer should be underscore and dollar. The next point is variable name should not start with digit. That means it can start with alphabet or underscore or dollar symbol. Next one, naming conventions. Naming conventions to declare the variable name. Variable name should start with a lowercase letter. For example, let me write one way example. First number is equals to 5. Variable name should start with a lowercase letter. From second word onwards, every letter should be capital letter. first number equal to 5. Next, if I want to add one more word, that means first number is 5. These are the naming conventions to declare the variable names. Let's come to the one more interview question on this thing. That is, can we use the predefined class names as variable names? Let me repeat the question once again. Can we use the predefined class names as variable names? Yes, it's allowed. That is example, int, integer. Integer is a predefined class. Can we use this integer as a variable name? Yes, we can use it. Okay, one more example. What we can say? Char, string. String is a predefined class. Yes, char equal to p letter. Yes, which is valid. Now, interviewer will ask one more question. That is, it's fine. We are saying that predefined class names can be used as variable names. Okay, now the question is, can we use the user-defined class names as variable names? Are you getting or not? Can we use the user-defined class names as variable names? Yes, we can use it. Okay, yes, we can use it. Let me simply quickly write one small code. Class demo, opening a class and closing of class. Now I'm writing another class. I want to test it, test. Let me write the main method, public static void main of string args. Now here demo is a user defined class name. Now can I use this demo as a variable names? Yes, we can use it. Int demo is equals to 40. Int demo is equals to 40. Now let me try to print it. System dot out dot println of what? Println of demo. So here what is the output? Demo is a variable. Okay, how much value it will print? It will print 40. It will print 40. Now let's discuss about what is data type. What are the different types of data types are there? Data type specifies how much memory space is needed for the variable and what type of values can be stored inside the variable. Let me take the previous example. Int n equal to 5. So int is a data type. Okay, it is saying that it specifies that n requires 4 bytes of memory. Okay, so here how much is the space required this n variable? It requires 4 bytes of memory. And it is specifying that what type of values can be stored inside the n. We can store only the integer values. Data types are divided into two types. Primitive data types, and non-primitive data types. Non-primitive data types. So the primitive data types, we have 8 primitive data types. Byte, short, int, long, float, double, char, boolean. 8 data types. Non-primitive data types means classes, interfaces, arrays, array, string. So here, let's talk about this primitive data types. Byte requires 1 byte of memory, which is equivalent to 8 bits. Short requires 2 bytes of memory, which is equivalent to 16 bits. Int requires 4 bytes of memory, means 32 bits. Long, 8 bytes, which is equivalent to 64 bit. Float requires 4 byte of memory, 8 requires 8 bytes of memory. Char requires 2 bytes of memory, which is boolean. Boolean value is dependent. The size of the boolean is dependent on the JVM. Let's talk about the ranges. So the range of byte is minus 128 to 127. Short range is from minus 32768 32768 to 32767. Next, the range of int is minus 214748 48 3648 to 21. So let me copy the same thing. 2147483648 247 47. Okay, so the long value is which consisting of is a bigger value. Okay, I haven't remembered that value. Okay, next one, float value is 1.4 4e minus 45 to 3.4 e plus 38. Okay, so double value is from 4.9 e minus 324 to how much 1.7 e plus 30h. Okay, char range is from 0 to 65,530 65,535. Okay, so here only char is a unsigned data type. Okay, apart from this char, all the remaining data types are signed values, so which are starting from negative value and ending with positive value. But whereas char is unsigned value, the range is from 0 to 65,535. Char 0 to 65,535. Okay, so here whenever we are using the long data type, the long value should be suffixed with n. For example, let's take this example. Byte short int anyone are same. If I want to int n equal to, I want to store the number of students that are presented in a college. Let's say 10,000. 10,000 students are presented in a college. Okay, n. Now, when we use a long data type, always the long value should be suffixed with either small l or capital L. Long e equals to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And long value should be suffixed with either small l or capital L. One of a interview question. Which data type do you prefer to store your 10-digit mobile number? To store the 10-digit mobile number, we have to use the long data type. Another interview question. What is the difference between float and double? And one more point. Byte, short, int, long are called as integer data type. It's called as integer data type, which is used to store the integer values. Float and double are called as floating point data type, which is used to store the fractional values, such as pi value. Pi value is 3.147. To store this value, we have to use either float or double. Now the interview question is, what is the difference between float and double? Float is used to store the single precision value. That is, after point, it will store 7 digits. Double is used to store the double precision value. That is, after decimal point, we can store 15 digits. And char. Another interview question. How much memory space is needed for char in C and C++? It requires only 1 byte of memory. The range of char in C and C++ are from minus 128 to 127. In C and C++, char uses the ASCII code, that is American Standard Code for Information Interchange. But whereas in Java, char requires 2 bytes of memory. Why? Because it supports Unicode. It supports Unicode, which stands for Universal Code. That means it supports all the world languages. It supports all the world languages. Next one. So actually, the JVM will, when all local for local variables, definitely we have to assign some value before using it. Before assigning the that means before using the local variables, we should assign some values to it. Otherwise, compiler will generate the error. Okay, let me tell you. Let me give that example here. If I say int I. I am trying to print I value. Now it will generate the error. Why? Because I is a local variable to the main method. We haven't assigned any value to it, but we are trying to print it, which will generate, this will generate compilation error. Compilation error. But whereas, whereas JVM will assign the default values to the instance variable. JVM will assign the default values to the instance variable. What is the meaning of it? Okay. For example, now let me create the object of the test. Test t equal to new test. Right. See here. This I is called as instance variable. Means a variable that is defined within a class. Okay, yes, it is defined within a class and outside of method. It is at the outside of a main method, which is called as instance variable. Which is called as instance variable. Here we have created the object for the test class and we are trying to print that value t dot I. So it will print what it will print, default value. Default value is 0. The default values to the variable, the default values of variables are for byte, short, int, and long. These are 0. JVM will assign the default values to only the instance variable. Remember this point. Next one, float and double 0 0.0. For character, blank space. For boolean, false. For boolean, false. Now let's see how to calculate the ranges of data type. Let's take the byte. As I said, byte requires byte requires 1 byte, which is equivalent to 8 bits. Which is equivalent to 8 bits. The formula to calculate the ranges is minus 2 to the power of minus 2 to the power of n minus 1 to n minus 1 to 2 2 to the power of 2 to the power of n minus 1 minus 1. Here n represent the number of bits. Minus 2 to the power of n minus 1 to 2 to the power of n minus 1 minus 1. So in a place of n, substitute 8. That is minus 2 to the power of minus 2 to the power of n minus 1. N equal to 8. 8 minus 1, 7. That is minus 2 to the power of 7 to 2 2 to the power of 7 2 to the power of 7 minus 1 minus 1. So minus 2 to the power of 7 is equivalent to minus 128 to minus 128 to 127. Minus 128 to 120. Now let's discuss about typecasting. Assigning a variable of one data type to a variable of another data type is known as typecasting. We have two types of typecasting. The first one is implicit typecasting, which is also called as widening typecasting. Widening typecasting. The second one is explicit casting, which is also called as narrow typecasting. Let's come to the first one, implicit casting. Assigning variable of data type which occupies the less memory size to a variable of another data type which occupies the more memory space, which is called as explicit casting. Okay, the meaning is, let's see this through an example. Implicit casting, what I said, assigning the variable of, let me take two variables, int I equals to 50 long n. Okay, what is the definition I have given? Assigning a variable of one data type which occupies a less memory size to a variable of data type which occupies the more memory space. That means int occupies 4 bytes of memory, but whereas long occupies 8 bytes of memory. Less memory space variable I assign to the more memory space variable. Here, Java compiler will perform the implicit casting explicitly. Now, let me try to print I value and as well as L value. I plus, let me provide some space, plus L value. Save it, compile it, typecasting, desktop. One second. Let me check where we saved that program. Yeah, let me save this program. Save as, Alt F, save as, and desktop, nrcm, typecasting.java. Now let me compile it. Java C, typecasting, once again. Now let's see Java C, typecasting.java. Compile successfully. Let me run it, which has to print the I value and as well as L value. Yes, I value is 50 and L value is 50. Next one is explicit typecasting, means assigning a variable of data type which occupies the more memory size, which will be assigned to the variable of data type which occupies the less memory space, is known as explicit casting. That means, let's come to here. Let me say long L equal to 50, and this is I. int I. Let me try to assign the long value to the integer value. Long value to the integer value. See here what we are trying to do, assigning the variable which occupies the 8 bytes of memory, and we are assigning to a variable which requires 4 bytes of memory, which is not yet possible. Here, Java compiler won't perform the typecasting. So as a programmer, we have to do it. So what happens when we try to compile this thing? It will generate the compilation error. See here, incompatible types, possible lossy conversion from long to int. So what we have to do it, we have to convert this long to integer. Let me try to convert into integer. Save it, compile and run it. Now it is printing the 50 and 50. So this is about typecasting. So now let's discuss about how to perform input and output operations in Java language. Scanner is a class that is presented in java.util package, which is used to take the input from the user. So whenever we want to take the input from the user, we have to create the object of scanner class. Let me create the object of the scanner. Scanner SC is equals to new scanner of system dot in. System dot in. SE is the object of scanner class. Here, in is a reference variable of input stream, which is contained in the system class. Okay, and this in is a static variable, static reference variable. That's why we are accessing through the name of the class. Now, let me read the byte value. Byte b equal to sc dot next byte. To read the byte value, we have to use the next byte. So actually we discussed about 8 primitive data types are there, such as byte, short, int, long, float, double, char, boolean. In this program, let's see how to read all those 8 primitive data types. Here first I read the byte value. In the same way, let me read the remaining values. Next one is short. Short s equal to sc dot next short. Int I equals to sc dot next int. Sc dot next int. Next long, let me read the long value. Long L equal to sc dot next long. Float, float f equal to sc dot next to float. See here, these are the method names. The naming conventions for the method names are: method names start with the lowercase letter. From second word onwards, every letter, the first letter from second word onwards, every first letter should be capital letter. So next byte, next short, all these methods are presented in the scanner class. Float f, next one double d equal to sc dot next double. Char ch is equals to sc dot. We don't have any next char method. To read the character, first we have to use a method called as next method, which has a capacity to read one word. Okay, from that one word, first we will get the first letter. Is it clear? Next letter will read the one word. Okay, from that word, let me try to pick the first character. So let me use a method called as char at of 0. So it will return the character which is at the 0th index. Next one, boolean. Boolean b equals to sc dot next to boolean. Okay, now we read the values. Now let me try to print these values, primitive values. System dot out dot println. Okay, we have print method is there, println method is there. Okay, for example, if he uses the print method b, so whatever the b value we are reading, for example, if the b value is 23, 23 will be printed and the cursor will be here itself. But whereas if he uses the println method, if what it will do, it will print the value and it will bring the cursor to the next line. It will be like this. So maximum we will be using the println method. Now what is this out? Out is a reference variable of print stream which is presented in the system class. And this out reference variable is declared as static. That's why we are calling through the name of a class. Print, println are the methods of print stream class. Okay, next we can use ERR also, but the system dot ERR dot print or println method is used to print the error messages. Now we are not printing the error messages, so let me use system dot out dot println. Okay, next one, byte value. The next is short value. The next one is byte short int value. The next one is long value. The next one is long value. Okay, right. In the same way, let me try to print the remaining values. Float, float value, some space, double value, sorry, double value, some space. Next one, ch char value, some space, followed by boolean. So here what byte variable, here byte variable we declared b is declared as a byte which belongs to the byte. Okay, once again we are trying to declare the same variable name. Let me change the variable name. Let me make it as b1. Save it. Let's compile it. What is the name? Data type.java. Data type.java. Compile successfully. Let me try to run the program. Java space class name. First one, byte value, short value, int value, long value, float value, double value, and character p and boolean. Boolean means we can give only true or false. True. See here, what are the values we have given? 12, 123, 1255, this value. Next one, float, double value, character value, and followed by boolean value as printed.